Hello students, good morning and welcome all to your first class. So today here we are going to start the first chapter, that is basic concepts of chemistry. So today is the introductory class. In this way here we are going to discuss what you know earlier, that is up to your class 10th. Okay, so first, what is science? So science is the classified knowledge of facts which gains through observation, correlations and experiments. That means the systematic study of anything or the special study of anything is known as science. This is the systematic study. Systematic study of anything, that is known as your science. Okay, and what is chemistry? So chemistry is the branch of science which deals with the study of the composition of matter and its transformation. That means how a matter is formed and what type of physical and chemical changes takes place in it. Study of all these is known as chemistry. So chemistry is the branch of science, or we can say the branch of material science which deals with the study of composition of matter, and their transformation. There are different branches of chemistry like physical chemistry, organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry, analytical chemistry. Okay, so different branches: physical chemistry, organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry, analytical chemistry. So there are different branches of chemistry. Physical chemistry that deals with the fundamental principles that govern the various physical and chemical processes. Okay, so it deals with the various fundamental principles, rules, regulations. Okay, next, organic chemistry. So organic chemistry that deals with the study of organic compounds. That is how these are prepared, what are the reactions, chemical reactions or physical properties. So study of all these known as your organic chemistry. So what are the organic compounds? The compounds of hydrogen carbon, that is the compound of hydrocarbon and their derivatives are known as organic compounds, like study of methane, ethane, glucose, carbohydrates, proteins. So all these, the compounds of hydrocarbon and their derivatives, these are known as organic chemistry. Next, inorganic chemistry that deals with the study of inorganic compounds. Except these organic compounds, what remaining all, that is the what are the elements and what are different mixtures and what are the different inorganic compounds. So study of all these is known as inorganic chemistry. Their preparation, their properties, all these is known as inorganic chemistry. Next, analytical chemistry. It deals with the qualitative and quantitative analysis of compounds. So how the compounds are formed and what is the amount of substance present in any other matter. So study of all these is known as analytical chemistry. Besides this chemistry has also different branches like industrial chemistry, polymer chemistry, medicinal chemistry, structural chemistry. So there are so many branches, but more important parts are these four, that is your physical, organic, inorganic and analytical chemistry, and all our branches are the sub branches of this. So chemistry is the branch of material science which deals with the study of composition of matter. That is the branch of material science. That means you have to know what is matter. So what is matter? So matter is anything which has some mass and which occupies some space. Okay, so anything which occupies some space around and which has some mass, and that can be generally realized by any of our five senses, that are known as your matter. So when I tell about this pen, this is one matter, duster, this is one matter. So anything which has some mass and occupies some space, that is known as your matter. Air is matter, water is matter, oil is matter, so sugar is matter, pores is matter. So anything which has some mass and occupies some space, that is known as your matter. And matter is classified into different types. So this is physically, by physical appearance it can be classified different types, and chemically it can be classified different types. So matter classified physically into three states, that is solid, liquid and gas. So in physical classification, matter in physical classification, it is classified into three types, that is solid, liquid and gas. So anything which has a fixed volume, a definite volume and a definite mass is known as solid. Okay, so this pen, this duster, these are known as your solid. This whiteboard is solid. And liquid, anything which has no fixed shape but has a fixed volume, that is known as your liquid, and it has the volume, it has the shape in which it is kept. Okay, so it has the shape in which it is kept. So this is known as your liquid. Water, oil, these are liquids. And gas, so it has neither fixed shape nor fixed volume, that are known as your gas. So in physical appearance, there are three states of matter, that is solid, liquid and gaseous states in physical appearance. Next, chemically, this matter can be classified into two types. One is pure substance and another, so matter classified chemically into two types. One is pure substance and another mixture. So this mixture is again classified into two types, that is homogeneous and another heterogeneous. Homogeneous mixture and heterogeneous mixture. And pure substances, these are classified into two types. Pure substance, that is classified into two types. One is element and another compound. Element and compound. Okay. So these compounds, elements and compounds, these elements and compounds are always homogeneous in nature. Element and compounds are always homogeneous in nature. And these elements are again classified into three types, that is your metals, non-metals, metalloids. Metals which show the metallic property of brittleness, malleability, ductility, metallic luster, conductor of heat and electricity, that are your metals. And these metals, that is your copper, gold, silver, sodium, potassium. There are different metals. Okay, and non-metals. So these are non-conductors of heat and electricity, and they do not have luster. These are more brittle than some few metals are only brittle, but maximum non-metals, these are brittle in nature. Okay, and metals generally exist in solid state except one, that is mercury, but another two metals also exist in liquid form, that is your gallium and cesium. So mercury, gallium, cesium, these three metals exist in liquid form at room temperature, and non-metals generally exist in solid form, liquid form as well as gaseous form. And metalloids, they show the properties of both metals and non-metals. These are boron, silicon, arsenic, antimony, okay, tellurium, polonium, germanium. So these are some examples of metalloids. So elements are classified as metals, non-metals and metalloids. Next, these compounds are again classified into two types, that are your organic compounds and inorganic compounds. So organic compounds, the compounds of carbon and hydrogen and their derivatives are known as organic compounds. Except these organic compounds, what remaining? What are the different elements? What are remaining compounds? Except these organic compounds, what are the remaining compounds that are known as your inorganic compounds? Okay. Next, this mixture is classified into two types, that is homogeneous mixture and heterogeneous mixture. So homogeneous means which is uniform throughout. There is no distinct boundaries between different components. So you cannot easily identify what are the different components present. That is known as your homogeneous mixture. Suppose you make a solution of sugar in water, salt in water, then these are completely mixable. Similarly, alcohol in water, it is also completely mixable. That are known as your homogeneous mixture. And heterogeneous mixture, which is not uniform throughout. Generally, that can be made this heterogeneous mixture, that can be made by mixing different substances which are immiscible in nature. For example, water and petrol, water and oil. Suppose there is mixture of some solid substances like sand and salt. So in this way, which are not immiscible in nature and which is not uniform throughout, that are known as your heterogeneous mixture. Okay, so what is the difference between a mixture and a compound? So mixture may be homogeneous, may be heterogeneous, but compound is always homogeneous in nature. Mixture may be this may be homogeneous or heterogeneous, but compound is always homogeneous in nature. Another thing, the compound, in a compound, the different elements generally combined chemically, and in mixture, the different components, they do not combine chemically. In this way, it is very easy to separate the components of a mixture, but it is very difficult to separate the components of a compound. So in a compound, the different elements are chemically combined in a fixed proportion by mass. For example, you take the example of carbon dioxide. In carbon dioxide, anyway we can prepare this carbon dioxide, always the mass ratio of carbon and oxygen. The number of carbon and oxygen is 1:2 and the mass ratio is 12:32. Okay. So similarly, if you take the example of water, so whenever the water is formed in any source, the water may be formed then always the water contains 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen, and their mass ratio is always 2:16. Okay, but in a mixture, what are the different components that may be variable? That is not in a fixed proportion by mass. It may be fixed, it may not be fixed. Always, it is not necessary. That is always it contains the fixed proportion ratio. For example, if you prepare a sugar solution, then in a glass of water, suppose you take a 500 ml of beaker, you can add 10 gram of sodium chloride, you can for sugar solution, you can add 10 gram of sugar, or you can add 50 gram of sugar, or you can add 100 gram of sugar and make a solution. So in this way, in a solution, actually in a mixture, there is no fixed proportion, but it is always not compulsory that it has a fixed proportion by mass. But in a compound, what are the compounds from which it is formed? It has always a fixed proportion by mass. And another thing, compounds show different behavior from that of the element from which it is formed. Suppose you take the example of water. So hydrogen is combustible in nature and oxygen supporter of combustion. But water is neither combustible and nor supporter of combustion. Okay, so in this way, water has different behavior from that of hydrogen and oxygen. But in a mixture, what are the components present? It can show, the mixture shows all the properties, all the behavior of the component from which these are formed. Okay, so in this way, these are some difference between compounds and mixtures. Okay, and what are elements? And next, come to elements. So what are these elements? So elements are that which formed only by one type of atom. So elements are the matter or the substance which is formed only by one type of atom, or which contain only one type of atom, that are known as your elements. For example, you take the sodium, potassium, hydrogen, okay, gold, silver. So all these are elements that contains only one type of atom. And elements classified into 3 types, that are your metals, non-metals, metalloids. And compounds contain compounds. These are these contain different elements. So compound that contain different elements or atoms of different elements. So compounds contain atoms of different elements, and these have fixed proportion, and the atoms have fixed proportion by mass, and compounds are organic compounds and inorganic compounds. Next, come to what is symbol. You know what is symbol? Symbol is the shorthand presentation for the full name of an element. This is the abbreviation used for the full name of an element. Okay, this is, or we can say, the shorthand presentation. The shorthand presentation for the full name of an element is known as symbol, and these symbols are either formed from 1 letter or from 2 letters, in some cases 3 letters. Okay. So symbols are generally, this is the shorthand presentation, and this can be from 1 letter, or the symbols may be from 2 letters, and the symbols may be consist of three letters, and some symbols are derived from their English name, some are derived from their Latin name, and some symbols are derived according to planet name, and some symbols are there according to scientist name, country name, laboratory name, like this. For example, the symbol for sodium is, you know, the symbol for sodium is Na. It is from Latin name natrium. Similarly, for potassium, the symbol is K. So it is from potassium K. It is from calcium. So in this way, there are, and for hydrogen, simply from its English name, that is H. Okay, so the symbols are derived in different way. Okay, next come to what is formula. Formula. So formula is the shorthand presentation. This is the shorthand presentation for the full name of a compound. This is the shorthand presentation for the full name of a compound is known as formula. So as the compounds are different, it is your organic compound, inorganic compound. In this the formula of to write the formula of a compound, this is also different type. For organic compound, the writing formula is different, and for inorganic compound, the writing the formula is different. So here we are going to discuss how to write the formula of inorganic compounds. And before writing the formula of inorganic compounds, let us first discuss what is a radical. Radical or ions. Okay, so an atom or group of atom which behave as a single unit in chemical reaction and carries some charge, that are known as your radicals or ions. So an atom or group of atom which carries some charge, an atom or group of atoms which carries some charge and behave as a single unit. Behave as a single unit in chemical reaction. That are known as your radicals or ions. Actually, radicals, all the radicals do not carry charge. There are also some unit, an atom group of atom which do not carry charge, but that are known as your radicals, that are your free radicals. The free radicals do not carry any charge. But another two radicals, that is your positive radical and negative radical, that are also known as ions. So an atom or group of atom which carry some charge and behave as a single unit in chemical reaction, that are known as your ions. Okay, and these ions or these charged radicals are again classified into two types depending on the type of charge present. Depending on the type of charge present. That is electropositive radical, electropositive radical, basic radical, also known as cations, and another electronegative radical, radicals, or acid radical, or anions. Okay. So electropositive radicals, an atom or group of atoms which carries positive charge and behave as a single unit during chemical reaction, that are known as your electropositive radicals. For example, Na plus, Ca2 plus, Mg2 plus, NH4 plus. So all these carries some positive charge. Okay, so all these are known as your electropositive radicals or basic radicals, or these are also known as your cation. As they carry positive charge, that's why these are known as your electropositive radicals. And when electrolysis takes place, these ions move towards cathode. That's why known as your cations. And when these radicals react with water, dissolved in water, then they combine with OH minus part of this water and form. Then they combine with OH minus part of water and form bases. That's known as basic radical. So Na plus combines with OH minus of O. When it combines with OH minus with water, it forms NaOH. In this it forms base, that's known as your basic radicals. So these are known as your basic radicals. These are also known as your cations and electropositive radicals. Next, electronegative radicals, the atom or group of atoms which carries negative charge and behave as a single unit during chemical reaction, that are known as your electronegative radicals, or acid radicals, or anions, like Cl minus, SO4 minus 2, CO3 minus 2, OH minus, Cr2O7 minus 2, etc. So all these which carries one or more unit of negative charge, that are known as your electronegative radicals. As they move towards anode on electrolysis, that are known as anions. And when this combines with and when this dissolve in water, or when they combine with the oppositely charged part of water, then it forms acids. That's why these are also known as your acid radicals. Okay, suppose Cl minus combines with H plus, it forms HCl. SO4 2 minus, the opposite part charge of water is H plus. So H4 combines with H plus, it forms H2SO4, H2CO3. So in this way, these are known as your acid radicals. Okay, so electropositive radicals and electronegative radicals. Next, how to write the formula of. So before writing this formula, again I want to say another thing, that is these radicals are again classified into different types depending on the charge present. If only one positive or one negative charge present, that are known as your monovalent ions. Okay, so Cl minus, Na plus, all these are monovalent ions. And what is the charge carried? That is known as your its valency. Similarly, what is the monovalent ions? Monovalent ions, like your Na plus, K plus, Cl minus, Br minus, I minus, NO3 minus, all these are known as your monovalent ions, either positive radical or negative radical. Okay, and these radicals are again classified monovalent ions, another divalent ions which carries 2 units of charge. Which carries 2 units of charge. 2 units of charge that are known as your divalent ions which carries 3 units of charge. Example of divalent ions: Ca2 plus, Sr2 plus, Ba2 plus. So barium, calcium, strontium, magnesium, all these of your positive charge and negative charge radicals like sulfate, sulfide. These are your divalent ions. Okay. Similarly, trivalent ions like boron 3 plus, Al 3 plus, Fe 3 plus, chromium 3 plus. These are some examples of trivalent positive ions and some negative ions like phosphate, phosphide. So these are some examples of negatively charged radicals and nitride. So these are some examples of trivalent ions. In this way, there are so many number of there are so many types of radicals or ions. Okay. So another thing, if this is a positive radical, generally that ends with, the pronunciation ends with ion, that is aluminium, chromium, calcium ion, strontium ion, barium ion, magnesium ion, like this. But if the same formula gives different ions, same formula gives different positive ions, then its pronunciation ends with os or ik. The lower oxidation, the lower charge ends with os, while the higher charge ends with ik. For example, Fe2 plus and Fe3 plus. Iron forms 2 types of positive charge. One is ferrous, another ferric. Similarly, copper forms 2 types of positive charge, Cu plus and Cu2 plus. That is cuprous and cupric. Lead forms 2 types of charge, Pb2 plus and Pb4 plus. That is plumbous and plumbic. So if any metal ion which has different positive charge, then in pronunciation that ends with os, and higher one ends with ik. Ferrous, ferric, cuprous, cupric, plumbous, plumbic, like mercurous, mercuric, like this. Okay. Similarly, if any negative charged ion contains oxygen, then that ends with Te, and if with oxygen that ends with Te, and without oxygen ends with D. For example, Cl minus known as chloride, Br minus known as bromide, S minus 2 known as sulfide. So D pronunciation is D. Similarly, if it contains oxygen, then T, and another more number of oxygen, generally ATE, less number of oxygen, generally ITE. So SO4 2 minus, this is sulfate. SO3 2 minus, this is sulfate. NO3 what are the radicals? Next, these radicals are again classified into three types, that is simple radical, compound radical and complex radical. Simple radical, compound radical, complex radical. So simple radical, which consist of only one type of atom, that are simple radicals, like Cl minus, Br minus, Na plus, Ca2 plus, all these are simple radicals. And compound radicals, which consist of different types of atoms, that are known as your compound radical, which consist of different types of atoms. These are generally polyatomic nature. For example, SO4 2 minus, C sulfate ion, carbonate ion, phosphate ion, ammonium ion, all these are some compound radicals. And complex radicals, these are also consist of different number of atoms and different types of atoms, but generally represented in square brackets, that are complex radicals. For example, CuNH3 whole 4 2 plus and FeCN whole 6 4 minus. This is ferrocyanide ion. This is tetraamine copper ion. So in this way, these are complex radicals. These consist of more number of atoms of different elements, that are known as the compound radicals, and these are simple radicals. Now come to how to write the formula of a compound. To write the formula of a compound, first you have to write what are the cations present. Cations, then you have to write the anions. You have to write the cations on the left hand side and the anion on the right hand side. And at the top you have to write what are their valencies or what are their charges. Without giving the charge, you have to write what is the valencies. If there is any compound radical, then keep it in square brackets. So first you have to write cations, anions. If there is any compound radical, keep it in square brackets. Then write what are their valencies, that is means what are their charge, the magnitude of charge. Then if there is any common factor, then divide by this and crisscross their valencies, so that you can find out what is the formula of compound. For example, I want to write the formula of barium phosphate. Want to write the formula of barium phosphate. So barium, it has barium Ba formula or symbol and its charge 2 plus. And phosphate, it has formula PO4 minus 3. This one is phosphate. So this is a compound radical, so I keep it in brackets. So 2 plus and minus 3, no common factor. In this way, just remove this charge and what are the numbers? So its valence is 2, its valence is 3, and just crisscross this number. Okay, so in this way we get the formula Ba3PO4 whole twice. This is the formula for barium phosphate. Similarly, suppose I want to write the formula for calcium nitrate. Formula for calcium nitrate. Calcium nitrate. So calcium, it has Ca2 plus nitrate, it has NO3 minus 1. So, without giving this charge, positive or negative, just write down here. So, 2 and 1, let's discuss this number, and generally if there is 1, that is generally 1 is omitted from, this is generally not written as subscript letter. Okay, so in this way the formula of CaNO3 is CaNO3 whole twice, that is calcium nitrate. Similarly, if you want to write what is the formula for ammonium dichromate. Ammonium dichromate. So ammonium, it has formula NH4 compound radical in bracket +1, dichromate Cr2O7 minus 2. So Cr2O7, that should also kept in bracket, and this is the charge -2. So generally this plus and minus is omitted here. Only you have to write the valency in 1 here and 2 here. So just discuss this number and we get the formula NH4 whole twice Cr2O7. This is ammonium dichromate. So you have to practice what are the formula for different radicals and what are the formula for different compounds, so that chemistry becomes easier for you. Now let us know what is a chemical equation. Chemical equation. The presentation of true chemical reaction in terms of symbols, formulas, in terms of symbols, formulas, and some mathematical sign. Some mathematical sign is known as chemical equation. So presentation of a true chemical reaction in terms of symbol, formulas, and some mathematical sign is known as chemical equation. So in the chemical equation, the reactants are written in left hand side and products are written in right hand side. What are the different states that can be represented by writing the subscripts S for solid, L for liquid, G for gas, and AQ for their aqueous solution or water solution. If any gaseous products are formed, then they will be given by an up arrow sign, and if any precipitate is formed, then given by down arrow sign. And in between the reactants and products, there is given an arrow mark. This represents give rise to. For a balanced chemical equation, generally we represent equal to. So different reactants are separated by plus sign. Different products are also separated by plus sign. Okay, so in this way we represent a chemical equation. And in the chemical equation, we also find out what are the number of reactants and products. What are the number of moles of reactant and product. Reactants react to form the different products. Okay, let us write a reaction. Let us represent a chemical equation. So when sodium chloride solution reacts with silver nitrate solution, it forms a white precipitate of silver chloride. Okay, look here how to write NaCl aqueous solution plus silver nitrate aqueous solution give rise to this NaNO3 aqueous solution plus silver chloride, that is white precipitate. So different forms we write here, and as it forms a precipitate we give down arrow mark. Similarly, when hydrochloric acid, dilute hydrochloric acid reacts with calcium carbonate, it forms carbon dioxide gas. How to represent this? CaCO3, that is solid calcium carbonate, reacts with dilute hydrochloric acid. This is a gas. Okay, so dilute solution of the HCl gas, it is water added, that is dilute. If this is concentrated, then we can write CO and C dot. So here I have given dilute, that's why I am writing dilute HCl give rise to CaCl2. This is aqueous solution plus carbon dioxide. This is a gas. This is evolved and escape out to atmosphere, and H2O. Okay, so this is liquid. So in this way we can write a true chemical reaction in terms of their symbols, formulas, and some mathematical sign. This is known as your chemical equation. Next, how to balance a chemical equation. So a chemical equation can be balanced by different methods. Balancing of chemical equation. Balancing of chemical equation. So a chemical equation can be balanced by various methods like heat and trial method, partial equation method, oxidation reduction method, that is oxidation number method, and ion electron method, algebraic method. There are different methods to balance a chemical equation. We will later discuss other processes. So here we are discussing about heat and trial method. Heat and trial method. So there are different. So here we are going to balance the chemical equation by heat and trial method. Okay. So for example, an equation given ammonia plus chlorine give rise to nitrogen plus ammonium chloride. So balance this equation by heat and trial method. So to balance this equation by heat and trial method, just first you have to write the skeletal equation. That means what are the reactants and what are the products given. First you have to write. So here I have written the reactants and the products. Next, if there is any elementary gas is present, then write it in atomic form so that this equation becomes easier to balance. Look here the elementary gases chlorine and nitrogen present. In this I am writing here to balance this NH3Cl N plus NH4Cl. So if we write in atomic form, then the balance becomes more easier than when you write in molecular form. Okay, so NH3Cl and NH4Cl. Then the atom which occurs maximum times balance that last of all, and which has largest formula balance the atoms of that first. So first skeletal equation, then convert in atomic form, then the formula which contains more number of atoms balance all that atoms first, After that, which occurs maximum times, balance last of all. And if after balancing all, if elemental form is there, then convert it into molecular form. So when we convert it in molecular form, if necessary, multiply the whole equation by suitable number, or just to this elementary form we convert to molecular form. Look here how I am balancing this. Ammonia plus chlorine give rise to N2 plus NH4Cl. So NH3Cl N plus NH4Cl. So here nitrogen so many times, so I have to balance it later. So first chlorine it is already balanced, but look here, hydrogen here 3 and hydrogen here 4. That means 3 and 4 total 12 hydrogen I have to balance here. So this is 3 and this is 4. So to balance 4, and I have to write here 4 NH3. So this is 4 NH3. Now this becomes 3 NH4. So the total number of hydrogen now becomes 12. So after that, I am now checking nitrogen atom balanced, hydrogen is balanced, and whether nitrogen balanced or not. Yes, nitrogen is 3N and N. Nitrogen is also balanced. And chlorine, this is 3Cl. So here also I am writing 3Cl. Now chlorine, nitrogen, hydrogen, all atoms are balanced. After balancing all these, then these are in which form? Atomic form. Then again we have to write them in molecular form. So whenever write in molecular form, at that time just I have to multiply this whole equation by 2, and this is converted to Cl2 to convert it N2, and the whole equation I have to multiply by 2. So that the equation is 8NH3 plus 3Cl2 give rise to N2 plus 6NH4Cl. Okay. Similarly, here I am going to balance another equation, that is CV6H6 plus O2 give rise to CO2 plus H2O. Balance this equation by heat and trial method. So this is the skeletal equation. So first convert it into atomic form. C6H6 plus O give rise to CO2 plus H2O. This is the largest formula. So I have to balance the atoms first. C6, so 6CO2, 6H, in this 3H2O. Now total number of oxygen atom, here 12, here 3, that is 15. So as this is 15, I am writing here 15. Look here, the coefficient for oxygen here is 15. As the coefficient is 15, an odd number. If the coefficient is an odd number, then multiply the whole equation by 2. If this coefficient is an even number, then just divide that number and convert it in molecular form. Okay. So this is 15O. In this I have to multiply the whole equation by 2, and the balanced form is 2C6H6 plus 15O2 give rise to 12CO2 plus 6H2O. So in this way you balance the equations by heat and trial method. So up to this for today.